If you only had 1 hour with your staff team every week, how would you invest it? Let's talk about that now on the Church Revitalization Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast, brought to you by the Malphurs Group team, where each week we tackle important, actionable topics to help churches thrive. And now, here's your hosts, Scott Ball and A.J. Mathieu.
Welcome to the Church Revitalization Podcast. My name is Scott Ball. I'm joined by my friend and co-host, A.J.
Here we go.
Mathieu. I'm trying to say that way so that maybe the transcription software that we use knows how to spell your last. That's a test.
That's a good test. I'll be curious to see how that works because it never would
Probably
get it
not
right
well.
normally.
Yeah, I normally have to manually.
You might have to
change
install the French language pack.
That would make the rest of the transcript probably problematic. And as few times as we say your last name, I think this is probably the best solution. Oh, goodness. All right, so today we're talking about staff meetings. And
Everyone's favorite topic.
I'm trying to do some back of the napkin math on like how many hours of staff meetings have I spent in my career before I started doing this, church staff meetings. Mm-hmm. I'd say over 500. Yeah, at least 500. More than that, probably.
Yeah.
It's a lot of staff meetings.
And now, since we've both been with the Malphurs Group, we've spent about 1 billion hours in staff meetings.
1.5 billion. Yeah. Hard to call what we do staff meeting.
That's the only way we can justify the time we spend online together.
There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of collaboration. What we do, AJ, is a lot more like if our desks were back to back to each other in an office.
We are the Jim and Dwight of the
Jim and Dwight. Which one are you and which one am I? Probably depends on the day.
Yeah. I probably get more aggravated with things than you do. You think?
For sure.
So yeah. I have to be Dwight.
Yeah. We both have our own Michael Scott moments as well, though. So.
and we and we definitely have very common Jim personalities, I would suggest. So if we could get away with putting each other's staplers in Jell-O, we probably would. But
that's for sure. Oh, I don't know. I wouldn't do that though. I hate a prank. Okay, let's move on though to talking about church staff meetings and how you should run them. So most churches waste their staff meeting time with idle chit-chat. And I know a lot of you, if you're lucky to have a staff at all, I know many of you listening to this, you don't have a staff. It's just you. And then there is another segment of you, a large portion of you that have a staff, but they're part-time. And so you really have very limited amount of time with your staff. And then there's another subsection of you who maybe have a larger staff. And so in any case, you really want to be sure you're maximizing the time and that the time that you spend together as a team is really moving the ministry forward and it's not wasted. So the goal today is to give you some tips on how to make sure you're maximizing that staff meeting time. Yep.
And we're going to start with just a little bit of preparation. So don't wing it if that's the thing. Or if maybe your staff meetings, they're very repetitive. Everybody comes in or kind of like we do the same thing. Hey, what's up? How are you doing? And what's going on with you? Don't do that. Set an agenda ahead of time. Prepare how you're going to utilize that hour and gather some information before the meeting. Things that there's a lot of meeting time wasted by getting information from people that you could have already had. And then maybe you could have even synthesized some of that or, put it with some other data so that you have maybe something more substantial to talk about. So ahead of time, you could gather some information from the various members so that you're there ready to lead in the discussion of that information in a more efficient way.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a system. And it's just a habit that has to be formed. It's not impossible. If people know and they're going to be held accountable to, if every Tuesday is staff meeting, every Tuesday at 9, then if they have to know that by Monday at at noon, they need to have their sort of weekly report and give really clear direction on what that is. Here's what we've finished. Here's what's upcoming. Because what you're trying to avoid is the sense that this meeting could have been an email. And so all the things...
Or a report, yeah.
Yeah, so all of the things that could be in a report or an email, go ahead and give. Because people do need to know that. I mean, that information is good for people to have, but they can read it a lot faster than you can talk about it. So, just create that system. And then, like you said, AJ, have that agenda. So if people need to have their reports in by noon, maybe by the end of the day, or maybe by 3:00 or something like that, you have the staff meeting agenda ready to go. And that way you have had time to review the reports, because there might have been something in a report that you need to account for in the agenda.
Yeah. Yep. So kind of carrying into our next point is
use AI to help you with that.
What?
You could use ChatGPT or something to help you with that.
Oh, like AI. Yeah. All I heard was I. And I'm like, why are you saying use I? Yeah.
AI. You're like, read these reports. Are there any mission critical things that we need to add to our agenda?
Absolutely.
You should still read it yourself, but
yes.
I mean, that could help you put the meeting agenda.
We'll have to do an AI episode because, there are things like this that sometimes a little bit of a AI just sprinkled in here and there is like adding another half staff person. So
it's true.
Yeah. Maybe that's a bonus point. Use some AI for your meetings because it will help you. And you know what? It might even train you to, after a while, you're like, I kind of see where we're going with this. The AI is constantly saying, here's what we ought to prioritize. So it could actually be a good training tool as well. But all right, point 2, prioritize collaboration over reporting. So kind of carrying on from what we just said, we don't need to utilize 15 minutes out of our hour to speak reports that should have already been gathered, maybe already disseminated even. And then let's talk instead about what is this data doing for us? We have some information now. Why? What do we need this information for? Prioritize collaborative thinking, making decisions that affect multiple ministries or the whole church. So you can spend more time talking about decision-making and strategy instead of wasting, killing 25% of your meeting on information gathering. So it's that right there, I guarantee you probably will free up at least 25% of your meeting time by getting information ahead of time. And then you're going to have more time to talk about how are we all affected by this and what decisions do we need to make together?
If I already know in advance, here are the 5 people who are in the hospital, and here were the 3 new guests that we had, attending the church this week. It's easier then to go, okay, who's on, I mean, hopefully you have a system for this already in place that's going to answer these questions already. Like, how are we going to follow up with these guests and who is on hospital visits this week or whatever. But you could even go more deeper than that. Like maybe what the system is and who's going to be doing the follow-up, but you could have more of a discussion like, hey, the Smith family, they live in this such and such neighborhood. They kind of live near this, the Joneses. And you're like, oh, that'd be cool. I wonder if we could pair them together. I wonder if they know each other. So just having a deeper discussion based on information you already know versus having to then process it in real time because you're hearing this. So that's the old Donald Trump clip, like, oh, I don't know. I'm just hearing this for the first time. You know what? Every staff meeting to be like that. Like you've already read it.
All right. Our third point is don't get caught in one-on-one conversations within the staff meeting, which is sometimes easy to fall into. Something comes up and you end up having this little side thing with one person. Put a pin in that. Take that offline later. Keep your time focused on what is affecting everybody or most that are in the room. And that's going to, again, help you have the most out of that 60 minutes. You're going to have the most that affects most time available to what affects everybody. You can do the one-on-ones later.
Some of my least favorite moments in I've been, like I said, hundreds of hours in staff meetings. Only a few moments really stick out, and they are typically ones that are just bad memories. And I have some very bad memories of some conversations, one or two that were directed at me, but several that were directed at other people in meetings, and that they should have been one-on-one conversations, and they instead were getting called out in front of the whole staff, and that's very deflating. Like, and it's a total power trip to use the staff meeting as a way to bully somebody. Like, don't do that. And that might not be your intention, but that's how it reads to the rest of the team. So don't do that. If someone's kind of messing something up or not doing what you would like for them to do, probably the staff meeting isn't the best place to correct them unless it's relevant to the whole team. Take that sucker into a one-on-one.
Yeah, that's good advice. All right, our next one, always be driving towards vision and strategy and mission. So, we commonly say always lead from vision. Church, when you're speaking to the congregation, for sure, when we're talking about change, but this has got to be continuously in front of your staff, maybe even more so. They need to hear it. They need to see what you're doing and how it relates to the mission and vision and strategy weekly, whereas the congregation needs it numerous times a year. I'm not going to give you a particular number, but it's your staff that are leading these ministries and making this stuff happen. We can't let the day-to-day minutia of garbage cloud that out. So always make sure that you don't need to go and remember our mission is, making disciples who make disciples. You don't need to say your mission statement. They need to feel it. They need to own it, understand it, live it. So sometimes you just have to recenter that, make sure that everybody is clear about the role that they're playing and how it fits into the big picture.
Yeah, I just would add that there are things that you need to be working on and thinking about and talking about that are important but not urgent. So most staff meetings are going to get dominated by those things which are urgent. Here's what's coming up next Sunday. Here's an event that's happening next week. Hey, we've got to recruit volunteers for this big event that's happening next month. It's understandable that that's going to dominate a lot of your attention, and those are those things which are both urgent and important. So I'm not saying it's a bad use of your time, but there are other things that are important but not urgent. Things like leadership development, things like discipleship, things like conversations around assimilation and how effective is this program. And you can't drag all of those conversations into the weekly meeting. You should have dedicated meetings that are focused on developing strategy and things like that. But there are tasks that you need to work on. There are going to be tasks that you need to be implementing that are relevant to those kinds of things on a weekly basis. I mean, it's not like you're going to have a leadership pipeline. You go through a leadership pipeline design session with us, and then magically tomorrow it's there. No, it only happens if you're working on it and you're working towards it. So just be sure that you create margin in that agenda to be working on things that are important, but that are not necessarily urgent.
Yeah. All right. And then finally, end your meeting always with clarity and accountability. So, the kind of the basic elements of project management is going to be tasks, due dates, deliverables, and owners. I mean, these are kind of components that move things forward. Likewise, I mean, basically your church staff team is constantly managing projects. You wouldn't refer to it as a project most of the time because it's not necessarily a start and finish. It's this ongoing things, but the teamwork, the strategy of the church moving towards its mission and vision, the ongoing ministry operations that are happening, always make sure that you end your meetings with everybody with clear understanding about what am I going to be focusing on for the next 7 days? If maybe it's something different, maybe it's not, maybe it's a repetitive thing. But what is expected of me? What am I trying to get done? And when we come together next week, you won't have to talk about it because you will have already submitted your report to your pastor before then.
Yeah,
and then we'll repeat the cycle over again.
Totally. So just no one should have any ambiguity at the end of the meeting on who is responsible for what. And that's really, really important. I mean, even, on a smaller team like ours, occasionally we'll bump into things where we go, wait a minute, was that an email you were going to reply to? Because sometimes we get emails that come to both of us, and I will think, oh, AJ replied to that, and AJ may have thought, oh, I thought you replied to that, and then we'll go, oh no, neither of us replied to that. So, those kinds of things are important. And when you're talking about a larger team, or in a whole church, there are lots of opportunities for misconnections where you go, oh, okay, I thought that you were handling that. So just everybody leaving the meeting abundantly clear on who is doing what, when is it due, and what's the deliverable, what's the proof that work is done. Do I owe a follow-up email to everybody to let them know the outcome, or some sort of a report, or whatever that might be. So that it's sort of basic project management technique, like you said, AJ, but it's missing from a lot of church staff meetings.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, this isn't rocket science, and I don't think we gave you anything necessarily revolutionary today, but sometimes you just, you get caught in these cycles of things becoming the same over and over, and you just need to hit the reset button and reframe the topic. So, I mean,
most staff meetings are literally just reports.
Yeah. A lot of that.
I mean, they're not, even though this isn't rocket science, most people aren't doing these things.
Yeah. So change of venue. A lot of that information can be happening via email. It can be gathered. It can be processed. It can be analyzed. It can be, reported on in a summary form. And then, keep focus with an agenda. Focus on things that are affecting everybody. Keep the one-on-ones out for a different venue, different time. And I think you'll be happier. I think you'll discover you're going to accomplish more in a short period of time. Everybody's going to feel like it was worthwhile to be there. And hopefully maybe even improve team morale as people are able to perhaps feel a little bit more freedom in what they're doing, and being able to work together as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, hey, you can read today's show notes in the article linked below, either on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Go ahead and hit like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and smash all of the buttons. Yeah, that's really good. You're supposed to say that on these platforms, and we never do. So please do that. And thank you guys so much for listening. We really appreciate you, and we'll hear you. We will hear you. We will see you. We will talk to you next time on the Church Revitalization Podcast.